Catherine Brzezowski, Vice President of the Orfalea Foundations, and I'm pleased to continue these conversations about the Stanford Nonprofit Management Institute. With me now is Greg Gorga with the Maritime Museum. Greg, I know that you're going to be talking to us today about the session on interpersonal currency. I'm wondering if you can share some of the highlights of that particular session.
Sure. Well, one of the things that they talked about was knowing what the currency is of the people you're dealing with. So in other words, what motivates them. And another thing that they talked about there was understanding the laws of reciprocity and exchange. And exchange are things that we have every day with our spouses, our staff, our board members. So you're always dealing with other people, whether it's clients, vendors, or whatever. And so just understanding what's important out of those exchanges, what other people are looking for, and what you're looking for in those exchanges. And then they also talked about how influence is giving others what they need in exchange for what you need. And I just had a very good example of this yesterday with Tom Reed, who runs the Unity Shop.
Right.
Unity Shop has a nice pirate ship right outside their facility. And so he called me and asked me for some nautical things to decorate the pirate ship with. And then right after that, he segued into offering me an opportunity to use a facility that they normally use during the Parade of Lights. So, and it was not like, you know, if you give me this, I'll give you that, or something. You know, he just did a very nice exchange of, you know, here's what I'm looking for, and by the way, I have something that you might be interested in.
And who was the presenter for this session? It
was Carol Robin with the Stanford Graduate School of Business.
What a great opportunity for both of your organizations, but it's also applying what these interpersonal interests are and what each of you are looking for to benefit your own organizations.
Yeah, exactly.
So was this a primary takeaway from you for this particular session?
It was, that was one of them is just, yeah, knowing to ask for what influences people, what's their currency.
And do you always ask that of the person, or do you sometimes try to assess that without directly asking the question?
I think a lot of times you go into it knowing what the person is, what motivates them, and then a lot of times you don't know that, and so it's fine to ask them.
And how are you going to use this at the Maritime Museum?
Well, you know, one of the things we've done in the past is ask our board members why they're board members. Why are you volunteering your time for the Maritime Museum? And I think you could use that in a lot of different situations. You could also ask that of your donors. Why is this cause important to you? You ask that of your staff. You know, obviously in the nonprofit world, it's not the highest paying positions in the country. So, you know, what are the other things besides salary that's motivating your staff and your volunteers? You know, a good example for me for that is that we have a 93-year-old sport fishing yacht, the Ranger. We have a crew that dedicates a lot of time to fixing that up because it's a wooden ship and it takes a lot of work. And you know, they don't do it for money because we don't pay them, but they get to go out on it and take it around the harbor and out for cruises. So I think that's a motivating factor for them, as they feel pride and the ability to go out on a 93-year-old sport fishing yacht.
So is this something that really only an executive director should be using regularly, or can your entire staff be engaged with this same kind of approach in understanding what is motivating the people they're working with? Yeah,
I think all your staff wants to be using it. It's also, you know, we have visitors at the museum, but I think staff could use it with their clients. What's motivating them? You know, obviously if a client's coming into a food bank or a shelter, there's an immediate need there, but why are they using that facility and not another facility? What's the basic cause of that need? And then just dealing with staff, you know, there's interrelationships. You know, the accountant's dealing with the marketing person, and the development director is dealing with the program person, always understanding what each other's needs are.
Were there any other main takeaways or lessons from the session?
From that session, I think you don't want to, they talked about having an equal balance, so it's not a one-sided relationship. You're not always giving or you're not always taking. You know, so and when that balance gets out of whack, it hurts both parties, I think. A good example for that again is clients. You know, if you're a food shelter, or a shelter or a food bank, and you're always giving things out, ask something of your clients in return, whether it's volunteering their time. Allow them to reciprocate what you're giving to them, even if it's just giving a testimonial about the services you provide.
This also relates to the concept of why sometimes organizations charge for services, because they're looking for something in return, the sign of a commitment that they're willing to make back to the organization.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a great lesson.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you can tell me a little bit more about why conferences like this, like Stanford, are important to you personally.
Well, I think we, as executive directors or any managers, we need to always do a better job and be more professional and more efficient in what we do. And whether it's opening the museum to the public for tours, exhibits, or serving food, we always want to take our work to the next level. And we owe that to our donors, we owe it to the foundations who fund us, to our volunteers who work with us, our staff. And so for me, I know I have a long way to go to get better, but I'm always looking to do that. And so I greatly appreciate the foundations who made this possible. And I think we always want to be learning and getting better.
Great. Thanks, Greg, for being here today.
It's a pleasure.
Next up, we have Justin Wilkins with the Endowment for Youth.